Everyone, so the quantitative assignments are in, and just great job overall. I really like seeing how you all kind of go through just some of the pieces of data and then kind of parse it. So one of the things that I want you to kind of understand is that one of the key points in it was that the kids liked the art, or maybe they didn't like the painting part as much. But consider that is it really the art that they liked as much as, or was it the hands-on learning portion of it that also went with the art? So I've given everybody suggestions about multiple keywords that you can look up later in research, or activities and stuff that you could look up. But one of the areas that I really enjoy is incorporating art and then really math and everything else into one into one solid unit. And that's really what my specialty's been and why I love teaching, because I kind of feel like math, history, science, art, that all of them really go together and they just show the content but through different facets. So if you check this out right here, this is something that we set up last year with the third grade class that I was teaching. And after the COVID crisis, we didn't get to hold an event, but typically what I do is when I do little units like this, the kids, I invite adults over to learn from the kids. I'll invite the adults, the parents, make it kind of a night, and then the kids will usually lead the adults through some type of instructional activity. And the culminating activity here was going to be that the kids were making basically like an environmental magazine that they were going to share, and then they were going to try and push a type of action which would have led people to think about the environment differently and care for it. So I compiled all of it, but this went over multiple months of different assignments that they had. So one of the things was the kids, kind of at the more basic levels, the kids had to do life cycles in informational essays. And the kids had chosen kangaroos, monarchs. We had done other ones here too: poison strawberry dart frog, Darwin's frog, Suriname sea toad, monarch butterfly, koala. But just them kind of seeing the repetition over and over of the different life cycles, and then being able to compare and contrast them and seeing how diverse the different types were. And then this is one of the first little things that they did, which was a pop-up book on the monarch butterfly. And as we're going through these different life cycles, we're talking about animals that are endangered and extinct. And so then the big question comes up, which is, hey, Mr. Gonzalez, why are so many creatures going extinct? And it's like, well, let's find out about it. And so I didn't know that this is what we were going to cover, but this is what we ended up getting into. And so using the main things that we had in my district, the curriculum that we were expected to use, like Achieve 3000, we found articles, we found the Billion Tree Tsunami Project, Despicable PFAs, A Lifetime of Helping the Environment. So this was a more difficult essay that a couple of the kids wrote, and this one was on deforestation, and they talk about the cycle of deforestation. Then some of the kids come in and they actually start making posters showing what the cycle is. I helped them set it up, and then they started coloring those in. These are the articles and the people that we'd read about. We'd read about Wangari Maathai. We'd read the Lorax and watched the movie for it. Then this was another more complex essay that we'd read, and this one, it's the Project of Failures, PFAs, and we talked about how PFA containers were supposed to be like to help the environment, and then it ended up being worse. Then we watched this one. This was pretty cool. It was a mockumentary called The Majestic Plastic Bag. I suggest you look it up if you're into mockumentaries. And then we recorded. We called this Roommate Conversations, where the kids had dialogue talking about comparing the Lorax to the Majestic Plastic Bag, and then talking about what's more powerful. We also did a little experiment where we were checking to see how much food coloring goes into the celery, and talking about how when nature's polluted, like all that stuff is getting sucked into the plants and affecting the environment and affecting the animals. So here you see we've already done art, we've already done ELA, we've talked a little bit about history, we're talking about fiction, now we're doing science. And then here we go back a little bit to the art. So we talk about like if we were able to create a machine that will stop the super axe hacker, what would you make? And I give them blocks and drawings and paper to draw, and some of them draw these cool little contraptions that will stop them. This one was funny. This kid said this was an endo portal. So the axe hacker goes, and then you put the portal, and then it goes through it. This girl created a machine. It was like a little boot that was going to kick the axe hacker out. And this one was another one that was going to like trap it. So really cool stuff. But again, gives kids the opportunity to like address the content, but through the different areas Then here, this is where we start to incorporate our math. We went out into the yard. We started picking up all the trash on campus, but kids were divided into sections, and then we were able to figure out what section had the most trash in it, and then what was the most common type of trash. So this W means it's a wrapper. This was plastic. I can't remember what these are. And then this was like school supplies, things from home. And this was actually a standard as well, something that we were supposed to cover. And then, how many breakfast trays do we use a month? And so this one was funny. This was one of the ones I liked the most. This is about 3 months worth of trays. So we talked about, if we stand it up, it's literally a little truffle tree. So in 3 months, we took out a truffle tree. So how many truffle trees would we have taken out as a grade level? How many truffle trees would we take out a week as a grade level? If we included breakfast and lunch as a grade level, if we did the whole year as a grade level. And then this was just another little side add-on where the kids did buddy reading. So my point, when you think of like looking up for art activities, think of how you can mesh all of them into the curriculum, and then go even a little bit further and think about how can you make it like an actionable community project. So, maybe if you're talking about making a garden and the kids make signs, or the kids make flyers, maybe you're talking about making a mural and the kids actually make the mural and then talk about the materials and what it costs. If you're teaching high school, here's a different one. This is what we did at the high school level. We went outside, we measured the football field. We said, what would it be if we replaced this part of the football field? What would it be if we added a little swimming pool to it? I gave them kind of different problems that were based on the grid of their yard. They actually had kind of like a little custom worksheet. When I did 8th grade ELA, the kids created their own models and constructed these sites. This was Drayton Hall. An 8th grade kid actually made that. It was wild. 7th grade girl created these 3D models. And she created like ancient Rome, ancient Greece, cathedrals. It was wild. Another kid made a segment of the school. So my point again, like, let's not think of art just in the traditional, painting way, but like really branch out and then even look and see what the free digital tools are and see how we can kind of use that as a vehicle to impact the community. But again, great job. It's been cool working with you all this semester. If you have any questions or you want to collaborate at some point in the future with classes, I'm down to do that too. Stay safe.